Alright guys, now we look at the second question, and the second question actually reads: in a class of 35 students, according to this question it says 35 students, but in analysis you find out that there are more than 35 students in the class. So in a class of 35 students, every student studied at least one of the three languages: English, French and German, and it's known that 17 students studied French, 22 studied English and German, and 9 studied French and German, 7 studied English only, and 3 studied all 3 subjects. First thing here required is to draw a vein to represent the above information. Note, in drawing the vein you have to always start at the intersection of all the 3 sets. So we start with E intersection F intersection G, and that gives us 3. Then the next thing we have here is 7 studied English only. English only means the person does not study French and German, so you have 7 here outside. 9 studied French and German. For French and German, we already have 3. So of these 3 who studied French and German, how many are left to make 9? We have 6, so we place it at this other position. Then 22 studied English and German. For English and German, we already have 3. So how many are left to make 22? We have 19. So 19 plus 3 gives us 22 studied English and German. That's the intersection. And 17 students studied French. So we move to French and look at all the entries. The sum should give us 17. We already have 3 plus 6, which is 9. So we are left with 8 to make 17. So we put 8 at this position. So that's the Venn diagram. And don't forget to indicate your universal set at the top right hand corner. Hence or otherwise, find the number of students who studied French and English. French and English means both. So for French and English, we have just 3. As you can see, the number of students who studied both French and English, we have 3. French only. For French only, on the vein, we already have 8. So French only is 8. And the number of students who studied German. For German, we add all the elements in that complete circle. So we have 19 plus 3 plus 6. And that gives us a total of 28. So 28 students studied German. The B part, the relation below is indicated on the polygraph below. State the range. The range is the set of all the images, and for the images here, you have minus 5b, minus 17, minus 29. Minus 1 is not part of it because it has not been used. The range is the set of all images, the elements that have been used in the codomain. State the pre-images. The set of pre-images is actually also called the domain. So the set of pre-images will have 1, 4, 8, 9. Then the next thing, is this a function or a mapping, and why? So here we actually consider this as a function because it is 1-to-1. A relation that is 1-to-1 or many to 1 is a function, otherwise it will be a mapping. We can see that every element here is mapped onto only one element. If one element was mapped to 2 elements, then it will no longer be a function but a mapping. The relation has the form f of x equals cx plus d. Find the values of c and d. So here actually we are being asked to look for the values of c and d, and if you observe this function very well, you see that when you take each entry, you multiply by 3 and subtract 2. So the value of c is actually 3 and d is minus 2. And to look for a and b, normally if the question asks us to look for a and b, this is what we are going to do. We'll say minus 3 times 4 to give us b, that's for the b, and our b will be minus 16. And if they ask for a, they can ask this way. Then you have minus 3 into a minus 2 equals minus 17. Normally, I could form 2 equations and solve for the simultaneous equations to look for c and d. Normally, that's what you would do. But I just wanted to emphasize or to illustrate that if the equation is asked this way, this is what you do to look for a and b. Normally, here we're looking for c and d, and c is minus 3 and d is minus 2. The purpose here is actually to share or to throw some light on questions. And in question 3, we have using Only a pencil, a ruler, and a compass show all construction lines. Draw a line PQ of length 6 centimeters. So you start by drawing PQ of length 6 centimeters. This one you use just a ruler and your pencil. You measure 6 centimeters and draw. With PQ as one side of the triangle PQR, construct the sides PR and QR having 4 centimeters and 5 centimeters. Here I have to use my compass, open it out to 5 centimeters, place that point Q, then open out to 5 centimeters and make this arc which passes at R here. Then I equally place it now at P. When I place it at P, I now open it out to 4 centimeters. The construction line there is not shown. It is not visible. I place it at P and open it out to 4 centimeters. The points where this arc will cross with the other one from Q at R here, these points, I will link them to form my triangle PQR. And this PR is 4 centimeters and RQ is 5 centimeters. The next thing is to bisect the angles P and the angle at Q. For angle bisection, you have to just place a compass at the point P, open it out a bit, as you can see this first arc. Then at this place at the one of these points, open it out, make an arc here just beside R, as you can see. Place at the other points below and make another arc. You see that the two arcs intersect. You now link the points P to the intersection of these two arcs, and using a ruler, you make that straight line. You do the same thing at Q. Open it out a bit at Q, make this a small arc, and then place it at one of the points where this arc crosses with the line. Open it out and make another arc up just beside at 4, as you can see, and place it here and equally make another one. And you can see that just not far from 4, to the right of 4, we link these 2 points to form this bisection of angle from Q to 4. The points where these two straight lines meet forms the center of the circle O, as we have been told in the equation. And using O as center, we can now make a circle with the tangents PR, RQ, and PQ. This means that these lines touch the circle at only one point. And this is the circle that we will form. We open it out to one of these ends and we form this circle. So the radius of our circle will be measured using the ruler. Just place at the center and move to any point on the circumference. And the radius will give us approximately 1.3. If you have 1.4, it's okay. 1.2, there's always a range that they will take from. But if you have something like 4, that will not be okay, or 2 is very far away. So you can have 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Those values are okay. What name is given to this type of circle? This type of circle is called an incircle or an inscribed circle. The second part of question 3, a curve has equation f of x equals 2 minus 3x minus x squared. Complete the table. So to complete this table, we take each value of x and we fit into that equation, and you have minus 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, minus 2, and 8 to complete that table. You can equally extend the table if you want to, like I showed in the other tutorials. Now the next part says that taking 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit, you must respect the conditions or the instructions. On the abscissa, the abscissa is the x-axis and the ordinate is the y-axis. So each axis is 1 centimeters. Draw this graph. We already have the table of values, and from here we can plot these points which we have. So the first one is when x is equal to minus 5, you have minus 8, and we have these points down here, minus 5 and minus 8. You can see these points. That's minus 5, minus 8. The next point is the point minus 4, minus 2. X is minus 4, y is minus 2. You have these points here. Then when x is minus 3, we have 2. You have this other point up. Then at minus 1, we have at minus 1, we have 4. At 0, we have 2. At 1, we have minus 2. And at 2, we have minus 8. Minus 8 is down. This is the point at here. Then we now use a smooth curve to link all of these points. Do not use the straight edge of your ruler. Use a smooth curve. You can freehand. You can equally use a broomstick, and this will be the function. The curve of the function y equals f of x. As you can see, the scale this one is to 1 as the equation required. The next thing from your graph, let's see, estimate the root of the equation 2 minus 3x minus x squared equals 0. Here, equating to 0 means that the point where the curve cuts there x-axis, and if you look at the graph, you can estimate this. You have the values of at the left, you have minus 3 point something, minus 3.6 approximately. You can have minus 3.7, minus 3.8, minus 3.4, but the range should not be too far, because if it's too far, it means you are not correct, because they said you should estimate or approximate. And then at the top or the right hand side, you have these other points, 0.8. Another student may give 0.6, another one may give 0. Perhaps 4, another may even give up to 1, but the range should not be very far apart, depending on how accurate you made your curve. That's what you're going to obtain. Don't have something else on your curve and give a different one, because you're not going to have the mark. It means that you have copied from somewhere, maybe from the left or from the right, nobody knows. And the next thing we have D, determine the maximum value of f of x. The maximum value, actually this curve is a mountain or a hill, as you can see, and the maximum value just means the highest value of y, or the maximum value of y, and that occurs at 4 points, approximately 4.4. You can have 4.6 depending on how you sketch the curve, 4.2, 4.2, 4.4. But since those intervals are 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, it will be difficult to give something like 0.5 or 0.7 and so on. So we have the value to be approximately 4.4. That's y max. Solve the equation f of x equals 2. What you have to do here is just to move to your curve and draw the line y equals 2, this line in blue, and see the point where this line cuts this other curve which you have drawn before. And the values of x here, you have minus 3 and approximately equally at 0. So this gives us the values to be my x equals 0 and x to be equal to minus 3. X to be equal to 0 and x to be equal to minus 3. Then the next thing we have, by drawing a suitable straight line on your graph, estimate the roots of the equation 1 minus 2x minus x squared equals 0. Normally I usually give students in Form 5 a formula to do this particular one, and when you're given an equation of this form, just say the original equation or the old equation minus this new one. It will give you the line directly. So you have that equation that was given, 2 minus 3x minus x squared minus this new equation 1 minus 2x minus x squared. This will give you the line 1 minus x, and since it's a straight line, you can look for points. When x is 0, y will be 1, and when x is 1, y will be 0. So you have these 2 points. We now move to our curve and sketch and draw the line by using these 2 points. That's 0, 1 and 1, 0. So you have 0, 1 and 1, 0, and this will give us this line. Now the points where this line intersects with this curve, we have the points minus 2.4 and at 0.6 approximately, minus 2.4 and at 6 approximately, or 0.6, and this gives us an estimation of the root of that equation. Now question 4, below are ages of students in years in Form 5A in GBHS Bamenda given. Make a frequency distribution table for this data. When you look at these ages, the ages range from 14 to 20. So my x values will range equally from 14 to 20. And I will have for 14, you just have to be circling all the 14s. And then maybe you have 5 of them. For the 15s now, you use a different sign so that you can always come back and check your work. Maybe you can use a cross for all the 15s. I have not indicated here. For the 16s now, maybe you can use a rectangle. For the 17s, you can use a slash. And for the 18s and 20s and so on, you can use triangles and different other shapes, maybe even stars. And make sure you have exhausted everything there. So here, our frequency distribution table is having x and their frequencies. And the sum of all of those frequencies should give us 60, because if you look at this class, we have a total of 60 students. We have 10 rows by 6 columns. That gives us 60 students. So the sum of these frequencies must give us 60 when you sum. The B part states the mode and the median. From my frequency distribution table, the highest frequency here is 25. And which number has that 21? Sorry. Which number has that 21? The number that has that 21 is the value of x equals 16. So my mode is 16 and not the 21. The mode is the number with the highest frequency, and 16 is that number with the highest frequency. Then if the median, there are 60 scores, the median should occur at between the 30th and the 31st position. So I'll just be adding from 5 to 8, 5 plus 8 gives us 13. I have not yet reached the 30 and 31st positions. Now plus 21, that will give me 30. That's 29, 34. Okay, with this I have passed the 31st and 30th position. So it therefore means the 30th position will be occupied by 6 and the 31st will be occupied by 16 rather. And therefore means the median is equally 16. Calculate the mean to 2 decimal places. To calculate the mean to 2 decimal places, I'll just add another column to this table which I already have. As you can see, I will not go about drawing another column. So I will just have this other column, x times frequency. So 14 times 5 gives us 70. 5 times 18, 120. 6 times 21, that right down to 20 times 3, which is 60. And when you sum all of this, you have 994. And how do we calculate the mean? The mean is given by the summation of xf, that is score times frequency, divided by number of scores. That is 994 divided by 60, giving us a value of 16.57. And I'm giving it to 2 decimal places as the question requires. The next question says if you calculate rounding the mean to the nearest whole number. So the first thing is to round this mean to the nearest whole number. 16.57 gives us 17. That's to the nearest whole number. We should calculate the standard deviation of the distribution and the variance. So for standard deviation and variance, we first of all start with variance. We take each score minus the mean, all of that squared, times the frequency, as you can see here. And then for each of them, so you have 14 minus 17, all squared, times the frequency, which is 5. That will give us 45. The next one is 15 minus 17 squared times 8. That gives us 32. The next is 16 minus 17 squared times the frequency of 21, which gives us 21. Right down to 20 minus 17, all squared, times 3, which gives us 27. And when you sum all of this, it's going to give us 152. Now the standard deviation is given by the summation of x minus mu squared times frequency, all that on n. So that gives us 152 on 60, which is equal to 2.5333. That does not give us to how many decimal places, so I've just given the value like that. And the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance. That's the square root of 2.5333, which is 1.59. I allowed it to many decimal places so that I will have a better approximation or accuracy for the standard deviation. Now a student is chosen at random. What's the probability that the student is neither 16 nor 17 years? So here we just have to remove the number of students who are 16 and 17 years. And how many students are 16? You have 21. How many are 17? You have 11. So from 60 we subtract these two values. So this probability will be equal to the number of students who are not, that is 16 union 17 prime, who are not. So 60 minus 21 minus 11 divided by 60, that gives us 28 on 60, which is equal to 7 on 15. That's the probability that the student is neither 16 nor 17. Another way is to say that the student is not 16 and is not 17. And for the last part of the question, P is the statement I put on a COVID-19 mask in public, and Q is the statement the police will not arrest and flog me. Write in ordinary language, P implies Q. So this first one, if I put on the COVID-19 mask in public, the police will not arrest and flog me. That's the P implies Q. Write the inverse of the statement, P implies Q. The inverse just means that you should take the negation of both sides. So if I do not put on the COVID-19 mask in public, the police will arrest and flog me. Note that with the right hand side it was not. So the not of not is now cancelled. The police will arrest and flog me. And C, write the converse of P implies Q. The converse just means you should swap the positions. When you swap the positions, you now have the Q implies P. So the police will not arrest and flog me if I put on the COVID-19 mask in public. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notifications. At times you subscribe and you don't click on notifications, and when you put or post new videos, many people don't get them and they are being lagging or left out. When you subscribe, please click on notifications, leave your likes and your comments so that we know what more we need to do and what else is still to be made so that we make the video much more attractive. Thank you so much and welcome to GCE Math Panel, and bye bye.